All right, so we are going to fit Matt here in a pair of ZipFits. And the first thing we do is just make sure that we're going to select the right liner. So we'll take a look at both Matt's shell as well as his feet. So in the Mach 1, it's just the high volume.
Yep.
It's the high volume shell. And let's take a look at your foot, Matt. So pretty low volume foot, low volume through the ankles, through the instep. We're not too worried about the toe box because ZipFit toe boxes are neoprene and they'll conform or expand, especially laterally. The length is pretty important to get right because if that liner is too tight, it's going to crunch up the toes, and there's no reason to have too much room in the toe. So looking at the high volume shell that Matt's in and his foot, we're going to want a high volume liner. Which narrows us down to our Freeride or our Gara high volume. In terms of skiing, do you think you're more aggressive? Do you like forward stance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
The Freeride liner has a fluted cuff, which can typically accommodate larger calves, and some skiers prefer to have some movement through the back of their boot. Matt's got pretty average calves with his skier type. I think we're looking at the Gara high volume liner. Did you bring insoles with you today, Matt?
I did.
Perfect. So just for the initial fit, we don't even need to warm anything up yet. We're just going to put the insoles in the Gara HV, have Matt lace up and step into his shells. It can be helpful to warm up the shells just a little bit before that initial fit. You were skiing in these today?
Yep.
Yeah, they feel nice and cold. So I might do that. But one little note, and as we know, ZipFits has the 3 different ports for adding cork. This tongue port sometimes can be scrunched and you can feel it right here. It's almost like it feels like a little ball. So even just pulling that out on every liner you fit and then just tucking it back in a little bit flatter makes a big, big difference. So we're going to warm up Matt's shells and have him lace up the Gara HV. All right, so we warmed the shells up a little bit. Sometimes getting that tab out of the tongue can be a little tricky, and having some needle nose pliers can make a big difference. But again, just pulling it out, and when you pop it back in there, just have it be flat. So for lacing up, the liners are yet to be warmed up for fitting, but we're doing a little initial fit here. And typically I like to have the lace lock there behind the power strap. So you can just have that lace lock pulled up and then tuck the laces right into the power strap there. So we can go ahead and step in to your left boot there, Matt. Nice. And we'll do the same on the right foot. So this again is just really for the initial fitting to make sure this is indeed the right liner choice, and we don't need to go for the lower volume liner, or if Matt wanted something different. Great. So go ahead and give your heel a good kick back on both of them. All right. And buckle you in here. How tight do you typically go on these upper buckles?
3 or so.
Okay. Might be a little different with a ZipFit just because it's like a little bit more volume. And 2 on the lower.
Yep.
Great. How's that feeling tightness-wise?
Good.
Okay, and same with the other one. Good heel kick. Nice. So for the initial fit, we just buckle in and then have the customer walk around a little bit. There might be some slight tweaks and twinges or pressure points, but as we warm the liner up and actually warm the shell up a little bit more, the cork will start to actually warm up and migrate to areas of lower pressure. So often customers will feel pressure point on the instep initially before the liner is actually warmed up, and then sometimes on the ankles as well. Do you want to go ahead and stand up, Matt, and just give a flex? How are they feeling?
So far, so good.
We think it's the right fit?
Seems like it.
Great. All right. So now we're going to have the customer remove the liners and the shells, we'll make sure to pull their footbeds out of the liners. And when we warm our liners here, we don't have a stack, so we just put each liner in the microwave for about 15 seconds at a time. The one part of the liner that's more susceptible to melting is this little pull tab, so we just tuck it inside the liner. We're never warming the liners up for more than 30 seconds at a time in the microwave, and we're basically just feeling the inside to make sure the inside of the liner feels kind of warmer to the touch, and that cork material is going to be a little bit more malleable. So we'll get the liners and shells off, put the shells in the boot oven, warm them to that specific shell. So Fishers, we don't warm above 125 or 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And then other shells comfortable to warm up to in that 150 zone. They don't need to be too hot, just easier for the customer to step into. And heat from the shell will transfer to the outside of the liner as well. So we can ensure that we have the liner fit to the skier's lower leg and foot morphology, and then the outside of the liner is also going to accommodate any specific designs for that shell. All right, so liners are both warmed up, so they're warm to the touch, and the shells are now warmed up. You can see here, Matt just tied up this one, and if you pull up on the tongue too hard, you'll end up actually getting bunching down here. So Sven very much designed the tongue to be at height with the liner, and this instep window is really meant to be right over the instep. So resist the urge to really yank up on the tongue. It's good to help get your foot in the liner, but right at the same kind of height as the rest of the liner, and doesn't need to be yanked up on. Great, so we're gonna step into each shell here. Nice. Give you a hand. Nope. Awesome. And yeah, good heel kicks back. Great. So for this fitting, for the actual fitting, we'll buckle the boots as tight as the customer feels comfortable. We don't need to go overly tight, but we don't want them to be loose. How's your left one feel, Matt?
Good.
Great. And is that going to be all right, or
Yeah,
too
no,
tight?
that's perfect, actually.
Okay.
That's how I usually ski 'em.
Great. Go ahead and stand up. Just flex. How are they feeling? Does your heel feel all the way back toward the end of the boot?
Yeah, definitely.
Any heel lift or ankle movement?
No.
Okay, so now about 10 minutes in the boots. The customer can walk around the store. I often have them just kind of pretend like they're rolling on edge and flexing. This initial fit is going to be a big step in providing comfort when they're out on the slopes, but a lot of skiers just put their ZipFits in their shells and go ski. So Matt, when you're out there, I'd say give it 3 to 5 days as little pressure points will actually start to ease up. Skiing in ZipFits is the best way to fit them in terms of the assist from gravity as you're actually pressuring your ski is going to migrate that cork more than really anything else we do. So I think you'll find that on day 3 or 4, any pressure point you do have will alleviate and things will kind of click.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds great.